Okay, it looks like we're all muted, so if we could all unmute our microphones, that would be good. Hi, everybody. It's so good to
Yeah.
see all of
Hello.
you. It's so, it's so good to be here. And this is so much better, you guys. I love this thing. Well, welcome to the Rundown. I'm so excited to have all of you here. We're excited to talk about the news of the day and share some things with you. So I want to turn it over to Liam, and then he's going to take us over, and then we'll be back.
Great. Thank you so much, TJ. Hi, everyone. My name is Liam Ken, and I am part of Meidas University and here on behalf of Meidas Touch. This is our weekly rundown, or it's called the Rundown, and it features both university and high school students. This week, we're going to be covering a lot of topics. There's been a lot going on, but we are proud to be able to have EcoYouth this on for the show. We're going to be discussing climate change. We're also going to be discussing the wonderful the best way to put it is civil war with the GOP happening right at the moment. And we're also going to be discussing various other topics. At the moment, I'd like to introduce the rest of our panelists. We have Nick Doyle, who's part of Meidas Varsity Blue. We have DJ, I'm not used to how my fingers point. DJ, and then we also have Ari right here. And I will pass it back on to TJ, and he can kind of give a rundown of what the rundown is and anything else that people have questions on.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Liam, so much for that warm introduction. So basically, the Rundown is a place for people to share their views and opinions. We all come from different backgrounds, different socioeconomic backgrounds, different race-related backgrounds, different backgrounds in politics. I being once a conservative. But we all come from different we all come from different places and different avenues, different experiences. And so that's basically what the rundown is. The rundown is a place for people to share in that, for us to be socially active, for us to have guests such as EcoYouth and their leadership on today. It's a place for all of us to be able to share in communicating with one another in a way that is effective. I think the other thing that is so cool about this is that we're all very much different, but we're all very much alike in the way that we share our politics and policies. And so I'm going to toss it over to our panelists to see why they joined the rundown and, most importantly, what their hopes are. So I'll start with Nick.
Hi, I'm Nick. So I joined the rundown really to share like great like progressive values and like talk about what's going on in the world, because it's really important for high schoolers to really know what's going on in either politics or just the news in general. So this is like so far it's been a great program and I love doing it. And I think it's going to be great going into the future.
All right, DJ, you're up. You're next.
Oh boy. So originally I joined Meidas Varsity Blue as a high school student, just to get socially involved, because although there's political campaigns, there aren't many organizations for high schoolers, besides, like, I know there's HSDA and like organizations of that caliber. Arty, I know that from you. But like just for like high schoolers to get involved. So that's initially why I joined, and then I joined the rundown just because to grow my experience with, political engagement, interviewing, and just, having civil conversations with people about what's going on.
Thank you, DJ. Now, on to my favorite co-host, Miss Arty. Go ahead and give your thing.
Yeah, I joined the run. It was kind of weird. I literally just got a DM. I knew who one of the person that does the show also, who he was, but he told me a little bit about the show, and I was like, sure, why not? But I think the reason why I stayed, I would say, is probably more significant, is because I really enjoyed like the open, discussive, and just free kind of conversation that it was happening. It didn't feel like there was this, pressure to like be this structure or judgmental in any way. It really was people with different viewpoints, which you don't always get, just talking about things that they're passionate about. So I guess that's what makes Meidas a little different.
Yeah, I mean, we all have those moments. I know we argue backstage a lot here, but I think we all have those moments where it is a place for people to join in and to watch and to view and to celebrate the spirit of conservative and liberals and all of us just getting together and talking and being, kind of our own version of a talk show. Because this is like when we originally sat down to write this show, it was about a bunch of us now at first it was all males and then we added Arty, but the goal of it was to bring all of us together. And the goal of it was to share with each other and be really inclusive to everyone. I know Mr. Kent joined us later on in our first season, but it was just one of those things where we could all be together and really share in politics and policy and kind of have a little bit of fun all at the same time. Liam, am I missing anything? Because you gave me this whole rap thing I got to do. So am I missing anything? No, I'm good. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do now is I think we're going to have our guest on now. And she is just such an incredible person. I met her. We were talking to each other. And one of the things that was really interesting and why we find guests for this show is to talk about things that matter to a lot of people, to talk about, climate change, prison reform, things that really impact our lives. And so I am excited to welcome the founder and executive director of EcoYouth. She is one of the most talented people I know when it comes down to climate change, because I don't know anything about climate change. So I was super excited to have her on, and I'm going to invite Lusandra to the table. Hi, Lusandra. It's so good to see you.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I want to know from your point of view, why is climate change? Now, we all know why climate change is important, but can you tell us why, in your mind, climate change is an important conversation to have?
Well, I personally believe that climate change should be a unifying issue. It is something that affects every single person on this planet, regardless of your gender, your race, your political identity, literally anything. It affects every single person. So there's no other reason that climate change is just something that is very important to everyone. If we want to continue living the lifestyles that we currently are, we have to take care of this issue.
Yeah, I think, Liam, you have the next question.
Great, thank you so much, TJ. Hi, Lysandra. My question is, what is it like? First off, what is it like trying to be in the climate change arena and really try to make change? I know it can be incredibly difficult. My second question is, what would you recommend kind of are the 3 best ways that people can get involved in wanting to help fight climate change?
Well, trying to get involved was definitely, I don't want to say difficult, because the people within the climate community were fairly welcoming, and the people that I spoke to were fairly welcoming. The hardest part was really the red tape I experienced when trying to organize like cleanups and stuff like that, having to deal with like city issues and other regulations, trying to get funding. That was more of the issues that I had, like leading into it, getting team members. And then 3 things I can recommend really, now this might sound a little interesting for people who want to start caring about climate change. I would say stop eating fish, which sounds a little like outlandish, I'll be honest. But the fishing industry has a huge effect on our ocean, and our ocean is the largest carbon sink, which is basically a natural solution. A carbon sink is basically what absorbs all the carbon or a lot of carbon. And the ocean also creates 85% of our oxygen. And the fishing industry has, I think it was about 46% of all pollution in the ocean is from the fishing industry. So if we really want to make a difference and start cutting back on pollution in the ocean, we need to cut back and start fighting the fishing industry. The second thing I can recommend is really calling your officials, calling your government officials. I know people will say, oh, cut back on plastic, cut back on like the certain items you buy more sustainably. And while I believe and 100% support that, that puts the pressure on the consumer. And it's not the consumer's fault. It really isn't. A lot of these issues are the industries and the factories and these big corporations that are exploiting people and hurting our environment. And when we put the focus on the consumer, we won't make a difference. One person goes vegan, it's not going to affect anything if there's 100 factories dumping oil. Yeah. So I would say definitely call your officials, go to protests, that type of stuff. That would also make a huge difference. And then finally, my last piece of advice, what's another good one? I guess would also be avoiding other types of meats, or at least other types of meats that aren't like fish. Fish is harder. You should try to avoid that altogether. But like poultry, beef, pork and stuff like that, trying to find ones that do more like free range stuff like that, because when they don't do that farm like cage, there's less likely for the animals to get sick and less likely for you to get sick. And it also helps to cut back on the carbon emissions. When you have a whole bunch of animals in one area, I'm sure you've heard that like the farts from cows are one of the huge contributing factors to the greenhouse gases. So either cutting back on those types of meat products or at least trying to get more sustainable meat products. So yeah.
Arty, you're up next. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think, in our generation, it's such a prevalent issue. I would say the most significant issue in our generation is climate change. And with all of the movements surrounding this issue, what makes this movement? Like, what approach or what makes this different? I guess what makes it unique?
I'm gonna have to be like 100% honest. There are probably hundreds, if not thousands, of organizations exactly like mine. We are not necessarily unique. I'm sure there's probably another one that has the name EcoYouth somewhere on the earth, like if we're being 100% honest. But what I think makes us special is that we're a bunch of teenagers from ages 13 to 18 who get together, who work for free, who are just trying to help people, trying to educate people on climate change. And it's that we care that makes us special. It's really, and I think if more people cared the way that at least my team members and the people who work with me do, we might have a much better planet in terms of climate change.
All right. I think DJ is next.
Yeah, so I know, especially during the 2020 election cycle, there were many different plans by the different candidates to combat climate change. So my question is phrased around, what do you think, or what are your top, let's say, 3 things, or more if you want, but what are the most important things that you want to see in President Biden's climate plan?
Yeah, so the one that we've heard a lot of is definitely renewable energies. That is a more mainstream climate solution. And definitely trying to go to 100% renewable energy is definitely a goal. I don't know if we'll necessarily reach that 2030 line that he suggested, but if we could, that would be spectacular. And it would cut down carbon emissions from the electric sector, from the power sector, by 70%. It would cut down those emissions, which would have a huge effect on the warming of the planet. The second one, which is less mainstream, is definitely natural solutions. And those are, like I mentioned earlier, carbon sinks and stuff that occurs naturally that helps cut down on carbon emissions. So that would be like the ocean, keeping the oceans clean, keeping the fish alive, supporting just marine life in general. That would significantly cut down carbon emissions, preventing like deforestation, stuff along those lines, keeping the current like nature in general like alive. That would be a huge help in keeping climate change at bay. And then finally, I would definitely hope for a carbon tax, because even if we do put more regulations in place for like fishing, deforestation, there's always going to be people who are going to find a loophole. We don't know how well the government will actually uphold those legislations, those rules. We don't. So that's why I want a carbon tax, because the real way to get corporations to listen is to tax them. If the whole reason they're using plastic, the whole reason the planet's dying is because they're cutting back, they're trying to cut back costs in general. And by putting a carbon tax in place, I think that would help open their eyes and force them to help make more sustainable switches.
Nick.
Yeah, so my question is, I'm not sure if we touched on this yet, but how important do you think that the conversion to more like 100% electric vehicles is? Do you think that is like a very important and like feasible goal for climate change? Or yeah, just what do you think about that?
It's like a double-edged sword. Obviously, it would be cutting back on carbon emissions, which is always good, but then disposing of the old fuel-powered cars, where are all these cars going to go? You know, not all the materials within cars can be fully recycled. The gas that's within them obviously isn't good for the planet. And proportionally, I don't really believe that cars have as huge as an impact on the planet as industries do in any way. So I think more that the switch to try to have more electrical cars for the federal government is more of like a showy thing to try to show people that they care, but I don't think it's going to have as huge as an impact as people would hope.
Yeah, I just had one question, and I think you and I talked about this privately, but I want to know what is the reason behind educational pushback to talk about climate change? I was reading a study that says only 15% of high schools talk about climate change in their everyday curriculum. Why is climate change such a hot button issue? And as you were saying before, it's a people issue. So why is climate change so taboo in our education system where we can't talk about it?
I wish that it wasn't taboo. Obviously, I want people to be educated on climate change so that they can help make a difference. But the reason I think that it is more taboo is the people who fund schools, the people who fund private education, a lot of them are yet again the corporations, and it's not profitable to have people stop buying your products. And so if everyone knew that plastics are really bad, and then microplastics from those plastics are possibly giving us cancer and causing infertility, people would stop buying plastics at the same rate. But people don't really know that. Instead, we're really pushed, especially for me or where I grew up, we were pushed recycling, like the reduce, reuse, recycle, which is great. Recycling is amazing. But plastic can only be recycled once. And if we recycle a plastic bottle and make another plastic bottle, what's going to happen with that second plastic bottle? And so we're given these kind of have solutions so that other people can continue profiting off of our issues.
Yeah, did anybody else have any questions for our guest?
I have one.
Okay.
I'm just freshly graduated as a power engineer at UMaine, so my whole life is all involved in anything renewable power and that sort. What do you think about switching our grid, all the battery technology, to help stabilize our grid, but also help kind of transfer our grid to more green energy? And what are your thoughts on that?
I think that trying to switch to more renewable energy, green energy, is obviously a great idea. My only fear, especially when it comes to more cars and trucks, that type of stuff, is just the leftover waste. So when we're switching to renewable energy, what's going to happen to the coal factories? What's going to happen to these oil rigs in the middle of the ocean? So definitely we need to make the switch, but I want to ensure when we do that we're not leaving trash everywhere throughout our planet.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. Thank you.
Oh, I think you're muted.
You're muted, TJ.
My mic was muted the entire time. Okay. I want to say thanks to our guest, Sandra, for coming in. We're super excited. How can people follow EcoYouth and follow what you're doing?
So our main platform is on Instagram. It's at EcoYouth 2020. And then also on our website, you can follow, we post articles, and it's ecoyouth.org.
All right, and we thank you for that. I need everybody to go follow EcoYouth. They're doing some really amazing work, and we appreciate them stopping by to share what they're doing with all of us. I think we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
It has been used many times before to control the masses. History teaches the demagogue how to manipulate weak-minded people. First, you must establish an enemy. Having an enemy is a powerful device to distract people from their own current troubles and look for someone else to blame. Second, you must tell simple stories with no regard for the truth, so they understand that you, and only you, can solve their problems. Third, you must attack democratic institutions, the Congress, but particularly the press. You must also make them an enemy of the people, so your followers will turn against them for criticizing you. And fourth, you must create a cult of personality, where you live above the law and bring benefit to those who support you as a reward for their loyalty. You must root out all those who are not loyal and give power to family members and others who are willing to sacrifice their own honor in support of you. With these four things accomplished, the gullible will blindly follow the big lie and lose all humanity. We've seen this happen before. We can't let it happen again.
What a fantastic
that's the best ad I've ever seen in a very, very long time. Okay. I feel like that was the ad of the ages. I thought that should have been on the CNN. Okay. I think it's time for the news. I mean, because I want to talk about news. I don't know about you guys, but it has been the news week from down under. Okay. I can't even stay focused. It's like all these different things going on at one time. Um, so I want to talk about Liz Cheney for just a second, just because I feel like she's important to talk about. So there was a replacement named and confirmed. Her name is Representative Stefanik, and she replaced Liz Cheney in House GOP leadership. Can I get some people's opinion? I don't know what's going through the GOP's head right now. I'll start with Nick, because I feel like I am living in a dystopia with all of these people coming in and out, and you reject the lie, and then you're kaput. Talk to me.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you said. This does feel like just so crazy. I don't know what's going through their head either. I really just, it's really astonishing to see that they really went through with taking out a person who is really trying to keep their own party's values alive. Because when you see people come into their party like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Lauren Boebert, who are taking the party in the complete wrong direction, you just wonder why then they would just sacrifice some sort of sane leadership at this point. Because like the country is not going to vote for people who are like this, who follow this ideology of QAnon and conspiracy theories. It just really astonishes me. I really am very surprised that they really went through with this. And I hope that someone in their party will stand up and turn it around eventually.
Yeah, yeah. DJ, am I crazy or am I crazy? Because I thought, you go against the grain. Dissension is the highest form of patriotism. Unless I missed the civic lesson, what do you think?
I mean, once Trump got elected, and especially since people like Ted Cruz, after what Trump put his family through, like people like him and Lindsey Graham and all these people that kept clinging with him, I was just like, this Republican Party is going to turn into the party of Trump, and we're seeing that unfold before our eyes. And if I know that since there is a giant shift from being a party of conservative values to the party of Trump and his loyalists, because that's what they've clung to since his crazy CPAC speech this past year. It's just going to take a lot of work from Republicans like Liz Cheney and like Mitt Romney, I'm sorry, I don't know why I blanked on the name, and like Jeff Flake, like all of the Republicans who focus on conservative values and not just on a man and being completely faithful to one person. Or else we're going to see a system like the UK, not with the parliament and all that, but like more than a two-party system, because I bet you if this keeps going down the path of an authoritarian party, all allegiance to Trump, there's most likely going to be another faction that breaks off within our government because they don't want to be associated with that type of a party and that ideology.
Yeah, I mean, Liam, you are a college graduate. You know the stuff. I just don't understand, where did Stefanik come into play? Okay, she has one of the lowest approval ratings at the conservative. What do they call it? The American
Conservative Caucus. Yeah,
yes, whatever that thing is.
I don't know why. I mean, having been involved in all the Democrat stuff, I even have friends in the GOP, and they do not know why they're going down this insane route. That's why you saw a letter, I think it came out yesterday, of 100 GOP members saying that if you don't stop this insanity, we're going to create a third party. And I truly would not at all be surprised if there's going to be a third party made and split the GOP vote. I mean, it's just gotten to the point of the GOP is no longer can be a successful party. It's not uniting, it's dividing. And historically, parties that divide never, ever, ever succeed. So I think that's why they're just like, I think the extremists have taken over the party and want to turn the party into a cult-like status that no one else wants, but they're just following along because they're so scared and intimidated to stand up because these people are literally insane. They literally threw an insurrection because they were basically throwing a hissy fit that they lost the election. So they made up all this stuff. It's just, it doesn't surprise me that it's gotten to this point. It's just incredibly disappointing that it's gotten to this point.
Yeah. Arty, your thoughts. I turn to you.
I mean, when Stefanik was, got the position, she gave her speech and she kept saying over and over, she explicitly stated the loyalty to Donald Trump. But in addition, she kept saying, we're united. The GOP is united. We're united 1 million times. And I think she specifically mentioned, although we're loyal to Donald Trump, the GOP is a party for all kinds of conservative voters. And if that was the case, then we would have never had a problem with Cheney. She was, I would argue, more conservative than Stefanik, and she just, was able to stand against something that she said, this isn't right. This isn't how our country should be looking. And I think that kind of showed that her beliefs were based off of ideology and true beliefs, and not, I guess, what Liam was attaining to, this kind of cult-like loyalty to one leader.
Yeah, I don't know where the GOP got off with this one. I am trying to conjure up an excuse for them, and I seem to fall flat every time. There was one thing that I thought was pretty interesting, and I know we want to move on, but I really thought this was interesting. There was a GOP guy, his name is from Georgia. Are all Georgia Republicans crazy? I feel so bad for them right now. Okay? I feel like they are just living in a cultish kind of world. Okay, anywho, so there was a Republican from Georgia that said the insurrection was just another tourist day at the Capitol. I mean, what is that? I don't understand.
Why? Why? Are you trying to prove how senile you are? How out of touch in reality? It's like saying that a mob is going that. It's like if you claimed that the Salem witch trials was just a overenthusiastic bonfire. I mean, or everyone has a family barbecue that just got out of hand. I mean, that's it makes absolutely no sense. It's just so unbelievably, just moronically stupid and trying to cover their butts, and it's not working. It's not hard to see right through insanity.
And honestly, and I could have been somewhat naive for believing this, but a party that at least seems to value so much symbolism, I would expect them to preach so much importance and hold so much importance in the Capitol building itself, and the memorials and the paintings and the grounds that it's laid on. It's historical, and I think it really went to show it's really whatever's politically convenient at the time for them. And I think in our way, I feel like we went from, in our democracy, being anything is possible to anything is possible, because the way that our senators and our representatives are speaking right now, that should not be leadership. That is not in any way leadership that we should be accepting.
Yeah. So moving on from this, because I feel like I'm going in a tailspin with the GOP, I want to talk about infrastructure, okay? Because I think infrastructure, because everybody has their own definition of infrastructure right about now. And it's kind of confusing to me because it's okay, I support the roads, the highways, and the bridges and all the things. But then I also support the internet, the broadband, and getting all the things. So I want to ask Arty, because Arty kind of ended the last one, so she can just pick this one up. What do you think infrastructure is in particular?
I think infrastructure is anything that's going to support the status quo a good livable lifestyle. And yes, that does include the traditional definition of roads, bridges. They need to be invested in. They need to be invested in so badly. But now, just in the world that we live in, that does include broadband. And to a certain extent, at least I believe that does include childcare. Because these things are just things that people need to not live a, over the top lifestyle, to live a lifestyle that can get them by and that they can work through and be part of the working class in. Granted, I don't predict childcare passing through, but I hope it will. I don't think it will.
Yeah, I always say, if we could just get bipartisanship on one thing, it should be infrastructure. Nick, I want to know, what has taken Republicans and even some Democrats, Joe Manchin, so long to agree to these sort of policies? What's taking them so long, Nick?
Yeah. So I really kind of think what is taking them so long is the amount of money proposed on spending on this, because they are like, so we can't spend this much on the country. No more big government. It's just totally ridiculous. But then I think they really just have to look in their hearts and see, who am I representing and what do these people need? These people need childcare, great roads, a good lifestyle, things that can surround them, that will make them happy in their lives. And just because it might cost too much does not mean that you can't just do it. I think they need to stand up and really help the people that put them in this position of power.
Yeah, I don't know what they're thinking. DJ, I want to ask you, what in the world is wrong with the Republican Party? They know that infrastructure is important. I was driving the other day and I almost felt like I was going on a roller coaster because all the potholes are in the street. Can we fix just infrastructure? I mean, what's your thought?
I mean, since Reagan, just take any Republican president, for example, but Reagan was the one who, altered the economic structure of this country. After that, we just seen with our infrastructure a downward spiral to where, even where I am right now in Worcester, Massachusetts, there's probably potholes on every single street. That's just, I know New England snow, that doesn't make it better, but it's just baffling me that where the United States of America, probably the most wealthy and most prosperous country on earth, and we can't even keep up with maintaining our roads. And like you said, TJ, I think infrastructure is probably one of the most bipartisan things that we can agree on. So it's if childcare and these things that Biden's proposing, although they are great initiatives, and I would 100% support them if I was a member of Congress, we need to at least pass something through that can get at least, because obviously this probably won't count as a bill to, avoid the filibuster because it's not directly related to the budget. We need to get something through to improve the infrastructure, which whatever things fall under that umbrella, it's different for every person. We just need to pass something in order to improve the country in some way.
Yeah. Arty, go ahead. You had something you wanted to say.
Yeah, this was brought up earlier about that's the argument, right? From the GOP, it's the cost of how much this is going to be. I think this whole cost argument, it's something that they can present, but I think it's lost its level of validity just because they constantly argue about cost. But when the Republicans had majority leadership in that Senate, when they had that going for them, they still went over budget. It's not like they spent significantly less amount of money. Investing in people, investing in our people and infrastructure is what we should be doing. We should be investing in America. So I just think that argument's kind of lost its validity over the years.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Liam,
completely lost. It's it's completely lost its validity. The fact that these people they're deficit hawks, but they're not deficit hawks. They're deficit hawks when it's most convenient for them. Like they are such hypocrite people that they are so selective in what they care about. It's incredibly frustrating in that they say that they are for everyone, that they say the GOP is for everyone. No, they're for the rich people. They gave a tax break to everyone over $1 million because they didn't want to pay their taxes. They voted against they wanted to gut health care because they had health care and they didn't see anything wrong about wanting to get rid of others because they have no sympathy for people. Like, I know that everyday Republicans do, but the people in charge do not give a shit, excuse my language, about anyone. And the Democrats at the moment are the only ones that actively want to make sure that people have healthcare, people have roads that they can drive on, and you aren't going to have to spend an arm and a leg by destroying your car getting to work or school. Democrats
Yeah.
are the only ones that actually care about making sure that there are checks in your wallet when we're in the middle of a pandemic and you can't work. Right now, we have state legislatures all across the country, it's GOP state legislators, that are actively getting rid of unemployment benefits and unemployment insurance because like they deem the pandemic is over. No, these are the same people that don't want to wear masks, but then complained about people that want to wear masks, and now want to like apparently wear masks now that everyone's vaccinated isn't going to be wearing masks because they don't want to catch cooties. I don't know what. Apparently, cooties are more contagious than COVID. But it's just like it's a never-ending double standard with these people, and I can see why no one voted for them. And there's been such a minority rule for all these years. Like they're like,
makes
I
my
want to
head
hold on to
dizzy.
power, but no. And it's just like Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema. Yes, I understand that they're from conservative states, but you need to realize Democrats won because we told people we're going to work for you. You can't play the playbook of we're going to work for you, but you never deliver because no one likes that anymore. We expect the government to work for us. If they say we're going to work for you, we fully expect it to happen, or you're going to get voted out of office.
Yeah. Well, speaking of mask and no mask, because I think that was a great transition into the next topic that I was thinking about doing. Mask or no mask, apparently the CDC says if you've been fully vaccinated, no mask indoor, no mask outdoor. And the First Lady of the United States, whom I love very much, Joe Biden said, "Hey, it feels great not to wear a mask." But I did notice something. I noticed that her security team still is wearing their mask. I don't know if that's an important thing to note, but they're still wearing their mask in public. So I'm assuming that all of us are vaccinated. I am not vaccinated yet. I'm getting there. But I'm assuming that the rest of the table is vaccinated. So are you going to wear your mask in public or not? What's up? I'll start with Liam. Are you wearing your mask in public?
Yes, because I don't trust people, and even though I'm fully vaccinated, I just want to be extra careful. I mean, I'm not going to wear my mask around family members because we're all fully vaccinated, and I'm probably not going to wear my mask when I'm walking in the parking lot. But the second I get inside, I'm probably going to put on my mask because I don't trust. You can't tell now. Like they say they're going to be wearing their masks. I don't know. They make no sense. But like, just to be safe, I would rather wear my mask if I'm going to Hannaford's or the supermarket or Target or anything like that, just to be on the safe side. Just because, like, I'm much happier. I didn't get sick at all when I was wearing my mask, and compared to what I normally do. So, I mean, like, why not just wear my mask if I don't want to get a cold? So, I mean, for me personally, I'm just going to be cautious still.
Yeah, I want to ask you, DJ, because you just got your second dose. You look good, by the way. Wear a mask, not wear a mask. What are you doing?
So on the second dose, I got it at 11 a.m. this morning, and still no arm pain, which is great. No side effects whatsoever. So let's hope that stays till tomorrow. But like it depends because when I'm inside, like I know schools make their own decisions in private businesses, but even when I'm like inside, like if they don't mandate it, I personally don't feel comfortable right now. Yes, we want to get to that day, that Nirvana type day where we don't have to wear a mask anymore at all.
Yeah.
But it's like we still need to have precautions because we don't want to neglect in like our obligation and bring COVID home and infect our loved ones, even though most of them are vaccinated. Because although this vaccine is like a godsend, people can still get COVID and people are still dying every day.
Yeah.
But we're starting to see that light at the end of the tunnel. Like I know Massachusetts the other day reported their first day of no deaths from COVID the other day. And so we're definitely starting to see that trend. And I'm certainly hoping, since I'm a senior in high school next year, that we have somewhat more normal of a year ahead of us. But, you know, we still need to be vigilant because the pandemic's far, far, far from over, because once the 70% of the population is vaccinated, which is still going to take, a long time due to widespread hesitancy, and that comes down to education from organizations and elected officials. We're still going to have to keep our guard up.
Stay masked up, America. Arty, I'm assuming that you're keeping your mask on, just following the rest of the trend of the panel. What are you doing?
So I actually just made my appointment today. They opened up Pfizer 12 through 15. I'm 15 right now, so I made my appointment. But after I get fully vaccinated, similar to you guys, I plan in public, in school, in the gym to keep my mask on. Just because I don't know these other people. I don't trust it. And I never found any sort of like great like suffering with putting on a mask. It was fun. Yeah. It doesn't hurt, so I'll put it on. But with people that I trust, with family members, with close friends, I'll probably take my mask off. We're both fully vaccinated and the CDC says that it's safe. I think it's okay to do that. But in public spaces, probably keep my mask on because you don't know.
Yeah, Nick, you keeping it on? I don't even have to ask the question anymore. So everybody's keeping the mask on, but I want to ask you, Nick. I mean, do you think that this is the light at the end of this really dark tunnel?
Yeah, definitely. I think we're moving in a way better direction. People are starting to feel like this is coming to a close. Personally, yes, I will 100% keep my mask on, keep everyone safe. Even if I'm like walking on the street and I don't know if everyone's vaccinated, I will still keep it on to keep everyone safe. I think it's just to do your part to make sure that this ends soon because it's been going on for too long. So I think everyone, should definitely keep their masks on, keep them on for a while, keep them on until we can all start to really get back to normal. But I think we're definitely headed in a very bright direction.
Yeah, as DJ put it so eloquently on his Twitter feed, wear the mask. Okay. So listen, that's it for the show today, everybody. We thank everyone for watching, for tuning in, for being a part of it with us. We have a lot of fun doing this every week. We love talking to you guys, interacting with you. We want to say thanks to EcoYouth for coming in and sharing their initiative with us. Listen, wear your mask, social distance. I know it only says 6 feet now, but I'm still saying 6 feet. Don't do 3, do 6, just for safety precaution. Hug somebody, love somebody. Make sure you tell somebody that you love them, because it's important that we all share in being safe and being happy and being healthy. Am I missing anything? I'm good.
You're good.
If anyone wants
Bye, everybody.
I was just going to say, if anyone wants to get involved in Meidas Varsity Blue, please feel free to reach out to any one of us or the account itself, and we'll be more than happy to introduce you to our organization.
100%.
Exactly.
Yes,
and if anyone wants to be involved in Meidas University or Meidas Touch in general, please feel free to reach out to any one of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we need more people doing this show because it's just the revolving door of people. But we thank you so much. Get involved to make sure you... you can follow Meidas Varsity Blue on Instagram. It's right there. down on. Is it down? It's down there, right? Okay, it's down there on the bottom. Follow everywhere, and we'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.